Welcome to In the Community with Tiffany K.
And we're back with In the Community. I'm Tiffany K. And today my lovely guest is Carleigh, the communication manager of Friends of the Rappahannock. Carleigh, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming in, especially for such an important organization to our community. I'm excited to learn a lot more about it, especially for those who may not have heard about it or new to the area. I moved here about 3 years ago, so I'm still learning a lot about this program. But I want to start off with the nitty-gritty details. So tell me all about Friends of the Rappahannock.
Yeah, so Friends of the Rappahannock is a nonprofit 501c3 that kind of does everything for the river. We are the voice for the river. We advocate for the river at the federal, state, regional level, also in our local communities. We do restoration projects, so we do all these tree plantings, we do oyster restoration, oyster recycling.
Oh, wow.
We build living shorelines and kind of really do our best to restore the river to its clean, healthy state. And then in addition to that, we do all these education programming. So we try to educate everyone from the age of, 2 to 102. We think everyone can benefit from learning about the river, learning about their impact on the river, and seeing how much the river impacts our lives day to day.
I think that's important to put out there because a lot of times we're focused on our own selves and what we got to get to from point A to point B, right?
Right.
And you're not realizing what's going on around you. And yeah, all of us learn about the environment and how the river can be important when you're a kid. But most of us don't pay attention too much to that as we get older. So
Yeah.
I think it's a great community to have, especially for the Rappahannock.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We love being able to work with people and really get them involved in learning about our organization, but really learning about the river. I mean, it connects us, it unites us. Without water, like our planet is nothing.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. And I want to dig a little deeper into the organization. How did it get started, Friends of the Rappahannock?
Yeah. So what's kind of cool about it is a bunch of friends were regularly doing river cleanups. They were regularly doing just coming together to clean up the river, clean up the waterways, the tributaries around the river. And someone was like, hey, y'all should be like an actual organization and benefit like the community. And they did. They came together and they received nonprofit status in 1985.
Okay.
So we've been around for a few years.
A little bit.
And it's just been a really neat growth of the organization. We've done really cool projects where we've gotten to help break down the Embry Dam in 2004. And so now the Rappahannock River is the longest free-flowing river in Virginia.
Oh, wow.
It's the only free-flowing river in Virginia, so that's kind of cool.
Already learning a lot today.
Yeah. So it's we've done some really neat things with that. Lately we get to do a bunch of all these like projects to educate the community and to really support the cleanliness of our river.
And how did you get involved?
Yeah, so I was working in a corporate position and really just wasn't as thrilled with my position at the time, and was like, let's see if I can do something with Friends of the Rappahannock. So they hired me as their development coordinator initially. And then later on, I was like, well, my background is in communications, and I would really like to be doing that. When our communications director left to be a classroom teacher,
oh, wow, okay.
I bumped over into communications, and so I've been there since. And really, my job is just to get to share all about everything that everyone else is doing, the neat projects and programs that our staff is going about doing to support our river, to educate our community, and to make sure that our state and federal policy are really benefiting our river.
Okay. And what does it mean to you to be a part of an organization that is keeping the river safe, I guess you could say?
It means everything. I mean, I grew up here in Virginia. I grew up driving over the Rappahannock thinking like, oh my gosh, this is the most stunning river.
Yes.
Like, it's beautiful.
It still is to this day.
It
yeah.
is. You go over that 95 bridge, you go over that Route 1 bridge, and you see the fall line and just the beautiful, flow of the river. It's gorgeous. Even when it's flooded, you're just like, wow, that is quite the river. And, I grew up camping and being outside. And, I love the outdoors. And so for me, being able to protect what I loved growing up for my daughter, who's, 1, and she's going to be able to enjoy all of this outdoor experience as she gets to grow up is so important to me. So much of spending time outdoors made me who I am. And so I think it's a unique opportunity for me to share with kids to grow up and become future river stewards of the river.
And I think that's an important point to get out there, is that it's not just for what's happening now. It's for kids and, the river in the future to be around, to give those kids those opportunities, those experiences that we had around the river as well, So I love the fact that the education is such a huge part of Friends of the Rappahannock.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking with Carleigh, the communications manager of Friends of the Rappahannock. So let's go back a little bit. First, where is Friends of the Rappahannock located? Where is the organization located?
So it's kind of a trick question. We are located throughout our watershed. So we have 3 offices. We have one in Culpeper, which also houses our conservation nursery.
Okay.
And that was opened in 2020, which is kind of different. You wouldn't think
that had to be an interesting time to do that.
Yeah. So our organization has just kind of grown exponentially since the pandemic because people started recognizing the importance of being outside.
Yeah.
And then we have our main office here in Fredericksburg that's been around for many, many years off of Fall Hill Avenue. You probably have driven past it when you're going, tubing or something like that. And then we also have an office down in Rappahannock to service our lower Rappahannock and so the Northern Neck and the Middle Peninsula.
Okay.
So we have over 30 staff in all 3 locations doing all sorts of projects and programs.
That's really cool. And speaking of the watershed, first off, just because we want to make sure for anyone who doesn't understand, what can you explain to us what the watershed is? And then also, why is it important to protect that?
Yeah. So a watershed is pretty much I like to think of it as like a hand, so you have all these little creeks and streams that are your fingers, and they come together at your palm into the river or the bay. So, in Virginia, we have lots of rivers. We have the Potomac, we have the, Rappahannock, the York, the James, and they all flow into the Chesapeake Bay, which then flows into the ocean.
Oh, wow.
So technically, the Rappahannock is part of the Chesapeake Bay watershed.
Right.
So it's all these rivers and streams that come together that make that section. And we, you can tell by topography which streams go into which river, et cetera.
Right.
But it's kind of a unique set of streams. They don't all flow into multiple streams. It's the same.
That's actually really, you should be a teacher, by the way, like a science teacher environment, because I've never heard it explained that way. And it made more sense than I have ever heard it.
My parents and families are all teachers, so I have that background. But as a communicator, it's my job to take all the sciencey bits and make it easy for everyone to understand. I mean, that's our goal at Friends of the Rappahannock, is to make it so that people have an easy understanding of why our river is important and why they should care. And if you don't teach it like it's, you're teaching a 5th grader, then
people aren't going to care.
It's not going to stay in their mind.
Yeah.
If you give them a bunch of mumbo jumbo,
yep.
It's not going to stay there.
It's like looking at the definition on Google and it comes back with the scientific thing, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I get that. So why is it important to protect that watershed?
Yeah. So we like to say all water flows downstream. So everything that you're doing up at the top of the river, so the first mile of the 186 or 180 some, it's debatable. It's going to flow downstream. So if you pour fertilizer into that stream, it's going to impact all the way down to our tidal section, so our lower Rappahannock, where we are flowing into the Chesapeake Bay and where we've seen these giant algae blooms. And so everything impacts as it goes. I mean, cause and effect. It's really easy to see. And so our goal, with that is to kind of take care of some of those situations. So, building those riparian buffers, which is, planting those trees and those native plants near streams to kind of act as natural filters of those contaminants and those nutrients, those excess nutrients, to keep in the soil from polluting the water and filling our streams. And as you go down the river, it's really focusing on what can we be doing at this section to support what's going on farther down. And, you get to the end of our river and it's like, well, what can we be doing to protect the Chesapeake Bay?
Okay.
And, all water is cyclical. I mean, we learned the water cycle in, third grade or something like that.
Something like that.
So, we know that water that goes down our streams is coming back. And the importance of keeping it clean at any stage is beneficial.
It's kind of like chains that are linked. If one's broken, it's not going to work.
For sure.
Wow. So what are some of the things that Friends of the Rappahannock is working on this spring?
Yeah. So,
I know it doesn't seem like spring lately with the weather, but we're getting there.
Yes. Well, it definitely, it's definitely springtime. We are doing lots and lots of tree plantings. So,
okay.
And native plant plantings. So it might not necessarily all be trees. We do a lot of shrubs and native plants that are essential to our environment here. But doing lots of volunteer activities, lots of programming where people can get involved. Like, it's super exciting to have people out and really trying to benefit those areas. We have lots of landowners who are like, I have 5 acres. I want to plant some trees. And so we work with them.
Oh, that's really cool.
To get, volunteers and to get the trees and get them planted. So.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So what exactly does the tree planting, why is it so important to the watershed?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned earlier, but trees are natural filters. I mean, they take up all those nutrients, all the, cow manure or, all the random chemicals or excess things, and they suck them up, and they keep them from entering the stream. If they don't suck them up, they just kind of keep them from entering.
Okay.
They act as this natural buffer, and so that's what we kind of call our riparian buffers. We purposely plant trees and native plants around a stream or near a tributary because they help clean that. In addition, I mean, they act as shade, which cools down our surrounding areas. With urban heat, we try to kind of cool down those areas by having trees. They provide shade. They provide habitat for, native species. Yeah. Whether that's birds or animals of some sort. Certain native trees have nuts and berries, and so they provide food. And so trees are really essential to our work in the watershed.
And so I'm sure you can't do this alone. So volunteers can get involved to help plant those trees.
Yes, we have plenty of volunteer opportunities available. We have them all listed on our website for you to volunteer. And, we accept all sorts of volunteers in that manner. We have, some really burly people who are able to pick up those giant trees or buckets and help us. And some people who are like, I would rather stand at a table and, tell other people about what your organization does, and that's totally fine. I mean, we want to share our organization. So,
and what's the website that people can go to?
Yeah, it's riverfriends.org.
Okay,
and it's riverfriends plural.
Okay,
and you can go there on our events page. We have all the volunteer opportunities listed, and there are quite a few.
I'm excited to talk about a few more of those coming up as well. But I'm speaking with Carleigh, the communications manager of Friends of the Rappahannock. Now, you were talking about some of the events that were coming up. What are some of the goals that you have for this organization this year?
Yeah, so we have a lot of goals, some lofty goals.
Oh.
And we were just talking about trees, and, we're hoping to plant 75,000 trees in our watershed this year.
It's a lot of trees.
It is a lot of trees. And so a lot of those are done through, volunteers. A lot of that is through, we have the trees available and we get some contractors that come help us with that. But we do want to plant about 75,000 trees. We have some oyster recycling goals and some oyster restoration goals that we're working on. So if you're not familiar with our oyster restoration program, we recycle shell from local individuals and local restaurants to put back in our reefs. Otherwise it's just going to the dump.
Right.
And that's not helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So for us being able to clean them and then put them back in our reefs to help restore some of that, the historic oyster population,
Mm-hmm.
because oysters, natural oysters, like to settle on old oyster shell.
Oh, interesting.
And on other oysters, and so they kind of
Okay.
like just build on top of each other.
Interesting.
And so that's why we like to recycle shell. So we're
Okay.
hoping to use over 1,000 bushels of recycled shell to put back on our reefs.
Okay.
And we're hoping to grow and plant over 2 million oyster babies
Oh my
to
gosh.
put back out on our oyster restoration projects. So,
I thought the trees was a big number. That's a lofty number
yeah,
too.
It's really impressive, our oyster projects, just as impressive as our tree projects.
Yeah.
Because, we have one end of the watershed where we're doing trees, and the other end of the watershed where we're, doing these oysters, where they're natural filters of the water as well, but they're actually in the water. And so what's neat with them is they can filter between, 30 and 50 gallons of water a day,
Oh, wow.
just for one oyster.
Okay.
So when we grow these little oyster babies, we take them, and they kind of look, they come in this little container, and 2 million looks like a little softball of little black goo.
Oh my gosh.
And we put them into a tank, and they settle on old oyster shell, and then they start to grow, and then we get to put them in our reefs, and it's a really neat experience.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And people can get involved in that as well.
Yep. We have some oyster bagging projects that later on this summer, I believe, we'll be putting them in our spout on shell tanks, and really growing those oysters to be put back into the creeks and river.
That sounds like the perfect science camp for a kid.
Yeah.
Like if you loved science as a kid, this is like the adult version of doing so, in my opinion. That's really cool. So, we were talking about big events that you have coming up. Is there anything specific, one of the specific ones you want to talk about? We've talked about tree planting, oyster later on in the summer. What else do you have going on?
Yeah. So, really in the spring, we have a lot of volunteer programs, but then that kind of culminates in May when we have our annual members meeting.
Okay.
And for that, that's here in Fredericksburg, and we invite all of our members out to our property to hear about the cool work we've been doing, and really just have the opportunity to come together and celebrate the wins we've had in the last year.
Okay.
And then maybe you're not able to come to Fredericksburg. We have 2 member appreciation events going on in May as well. One in Irvington, I believe, and then one in Culpeper.
Okay.
And so those are big events as well for, again, you to come out and to learn about the organization and what we've been doing this past year, and really enjoy kind of some of the fruits of our labor, I guess.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And so is anybody can come to that?
If you're a member, yeah.
You're a member?
You can
Okay,
certainly
perfect.
come. And it's very easy to become a member.
Okay.
You can do that on our website, again, at riverfriends.org.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great way to become involved, to become a member.
I was just about to say, if someone's new to the area or have just moved here and they love helping the environment, the river, I think this is a great way to get involved and meet people. As
Yeah,
you said,
for
it's
sure.
a lot of events that you're going to meet new people about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm speaking with Carleigh, the communications manager of Friends of the Rappahannock. So can you tell me a little bit? I know you have some summer programs for kids. Is that correct?
We do.
Well, let's talk about that. I know we're only in spring, but summer's going to be
know.
here before you know it.
It really is, and some of these summer camps are already full, but
Oh,
I did
wow.
want to mention a few of them. We have some new summer camps
Ooh,
that we've
okay.
never offered before. So one summer camp that I'm really, really excited about is our all week. It's a girls' summer camp, so it's a day camp.
Okay.
But there is one day where they do an overnight, and
Ooh.
it's for girls from 7th to 9th grade.
Okay.
And it's going to be so much fun. There's going to be paddle boarding. There's going to be tubing. There's going to
Oh.
be kayaking. There's going to be all the fun water things, s'mores making. There's going to be some STEM activities and just some really unique time to spend time with other girls. I know I would have loved that type of camp as
Yep.
a kid, going out and hanging out with other girls, because normally outdoorsy things isn't always the girly thing to do, but you can do it. Like, it's so much fun. And so they'll get an opportunity to do that.
And it's like summer camp on steroids.
Oh my gosh.
That's what it sounds like to me.
It's going to be amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So our educators are super pumped about that one. And so I know we still have some slots open for that.
Okay.
And then the other one that I'm super, super excited about is our Crow's Nest Camp. So Friends of the Rappahannock is partnering with Crow's Nest Research Center to do a very similar summer camp to our traditional Fredericksburg summer camp, but at Crow's Nest. So that's going to be in Stafford. Okay. And it's off Accokeek Creek. And they're going to get to do all sorts of kayaking again, potentially canoeing and paddle boarding.
Oh, wow.
There's going to be some scavenger hunts.
Oh, cool.
Like really neat activities with some of the animals there because the wildlife and the marshes are just a little bit different of an environment than our river is.
Yeah.
So that'll be a really unique experience. We have 3 weeks of camp open for that for 3rd through 7th graders.
And is that overnight as well, or day
that
camp?
is not overnight. That is a day camp. Yeah.
Okay, perfect to know.
So, it's a little bit easier for kids to go home and shower and you know sleep in their own bed and come back refreshed in the morning, ready to get back on the water and see all the cool animals and learn all about what our water is doing for us.
I have to tell you, whenever I heard summer camp as a kid, it was never that fun.
No.
It was one of those, you're going to go into like cabins and then that's about it. And you're going to try to bond with people, right? This sounds so much more fun, so much more educational in a great way. And you're getting to do a lot of great things on the river. They
are. They get to have so much fun. I mean, I have never, sometimes the campers come a little nervous on that first day.
Of course.
But as soon as they get on that water and they're having a blast, they just want to keep coming back and keep coming back. And, this is why we've opened our camp another location because we've been full for so many years. And so we want to offer this opportunity to as many kids as possible.
That's amazing. And then all the summer camps, the information is on your website as well?
It is.
Awesome. And people can go there to register. You said you only have a few spots left for each of those, correct?
For the Crow's Nest one, we just opened it, so it should be pretty open. But then the girls' camp it's going fast. So
okay. Good to know. Yeah. I'm excited to hear how all of those go in the end. I'm speaking with Carleigh, the communications manager of Friends of the Rappahannock. I've learned so much today about not just what you do for the river, but what you do for the community as well. And I do want to know, people really want to get involved. We were talking about volunteer opportunities earlier. You kind of talking about this, but I want to make it clear. You don't have to be a master gardener to volunteer, correct?
No, you really don't. And, sometimes people are like, well, I don't know how to, I don't know tree ID or I don't know how to, plant anything.
Right.
That doesn't matter. We're the professionals. We know how to plant things for you, plants, and we know how to teach you so that you can be educated. You don't have to be a professional ecologist to understand how to do things with us. We have volunteers come out and support our oyster bagging programs. And that's literally helping us put oysters in bags so that we can later on add the spat on shell, so the baby oysters to the oyster shell. So you don't have to be a master gardener. You don't have to be a professional. We are looking for anyone who's wanting to get to know the river, wanting to learn more about the organization, wanting to support their environment or get their kids involved or anything. We are open to all of that information. Our volunteer and outreach manager, Liz Harris, she has fantastic opportunities available for everyone, whether you're, 6 or 7 years old and, still running around crazy and want to play with everything.
Have the energy.
Have the energy. Or you are just like, I hate bugs, I hate outside, but I want to support the river. We have something for you to help us volunteer.
That's awesome to hear because everyone looks for a different way to volunteer and to support these things, especially if they're not good at that. I have to say one of my favorite memories growing up was helping my mom garden in the front yard. Now, granted, she's known as the plant killer. She cannot keep a plant alive to save her life, and I'm afraid I have that gene, but it was so fun to try. So I love that it's for anybody of any age.
It really is. We want to get people involved. We want people to see the importance of the river and see how beneficial just one thing that they can do is, whether that's they get a group of friends and they go pick up litter and you think that sounds silly, but you have a blast. I have seen some groups come back just like in full hysterics because they were having so much fun. So,
oh, wow.
We really do appreciate all of our volunteers and all the work that they get to help us do.
Oh, that's amazing. And once again, can you give me the website for that?
Yeah, so it's again on our riverfriends.org. You can go straight there. There's a form that you can fill out.
Okay.
And if you have more specific questions, again, our volunteer and outreach manager, Liz Harris, her email is on our website for you to reach out to. She can answer any question you have about volunteering.
And I'm speaking with Carleigh, the communications manager of Friends of the Rappahannock. Now, one more question. You know, a lot of people want to volunteer, but I also know that Friends of the Rappahannock, even though you all seem like you have a great time, you can't just run off of those good vibes, right? You do need help from the community financially. So how can people help with that?
Yeah, so there are a lot of different ways you can financially support our organization, the work we do for the river. You know, we have monthly subscriber options. So if you are like, you know, I can't really make a $100 donation at one point, but I could, you know, donate $5 a month, you know. That's not awful for your budget, you know. We have opportunities for that, so you can do that. And then for, you know, some other people who might want a different way, we have all sorts of financial opportunities, whether that's through, you know, your will or your workplace giving and things like that. We have opportunities listed on our website. If you go to riverfriends.org/give, it gives you all of those opportunities that you can donate to the organization.
And do you all have any fundraising events coming up?
We do. So kind of a little sneak peek, but we're coming into this summer. We're really going to be promoting for a building facelift in our Fredericksburg office.
Oh, awesome.
And so we'll be doing a very large fundraising campaign then. And so you can definitely look out for that. As I've mentioned a lot, we do a lot of education. I mean, we see over 11,000 students at our Fredericksburg property a year. And we have, you know, thousands of students on our wait list. And so doing a building, you know, facelift would really make it so that we could see more and more of those students, allow more and more capacity for sharing our education programs.
Okay.
So that is one of our major ones that's coming up.
Well, thanks for the sneak peek on that. We like to be in the know with this. Now, Carleigh, communications manager, Friends of the Rappahannock, thank you so much for coming in today.
Of course.
Just so everybody knows, one more time, I'm going to have you give the website, and then are there any social media accounts that people should follow as well?
Yeah, of course. So our website is riverfriends.org, and our social media accounts, we have both Instagram and Facebook, so feel free to follow us on that. We're River Friends on Instagram and Friends of the Rappahannock on Facebook, and it's really hard to, you know, not find us. If you fail at all three of those locations, we are on Fall Hill Avenue 3219, and feel free to stop by and meet us and learn more about our river.
One way or another, you will find them.
You will. You will. We're everywhere these days.
I love that. Thank you so much, Carleigh.
Of course.
And that'll do it for In the Community this week. If you are a nonprofit and need to bring attention to your cause or organization, please reach out through this station's website, and we will see you next week.